let me ask you this question. I would like to ask the AG to propose legislation for what we call small claims court. There are lots of poor people, for an example you just gave, that they have issues with others and sometimes with large firms, but the lawyer fee is greater than the fee you're claiming.
It is their right.
Unlike the right that someone has, all our rights exist in context.
What is the context of a second medical opinion?
Because you're disrespecting the process.
No.
Jesus, this is common sense, man.
Any situation which you seem to do, you're just dealing with Afro-Guyanese issues. If one, you can't bring and pull the leaders of the African community together, you're failing. And if two, you can't put forward a vision, a blueprint, and a plan for African Guyanese, you're failing as well.
Happy Eid Mubarak to you. We're coming to you from the Ahmadiyya Mosque on Brickdown. And we're coming to you on a day that is perhaps a day in the world right now that is perhaps not auspicious for what is going on in Cuba. And this program this evening is about what is going on in Cuba. This program here is about relief effort by a group of organizations in Guyana to send aid to Cuba. Part of that arrangement is Mansour Bash, the Imam of the Ahmadiyya Mosque. If you look at the background, you will see there's just a tiny amount of the donations that Guyanese have sent so far to go to Cuba. So without further ado, we'd like to introduce our panelists. Halim Khan, to my extreme right, he is the president of the Guyana Cuba Solidarity Committee. Mansour Bash, the Imam of the Ahmadiyya Mosque, where this program is being filmed, and the ambassador to Cuba. Now, the ambassador will introduce himself, but there are a few words I'd like to say before the ambassador introduces himself. Cuba is one of the great countries of the 20th century. I say that as someone trained in international relations, but as a Caribbean man who saw, as a young man growing up, what Cuba has done positively for the world. Cuba's impact on Africa and the Caribbean is phenomenal. Africa and the Caribbean owe a debt to Cuba that is unpayable. Don't forget, in case you're too young in Guyana to know, if it wasn't for Cuba, there would not be an independent country in Africa called Angola. Cuban troops liberated Angola from apartheid South Africa. This is one of the great countries of the world. And at this time, when America is threatening it with invasion, all the peoples, the 8 billion peoples of the world, must show solidarity with this great country. And therefore, without further ado, I'd like the Cuban ambassador to introduce himself, and he will take it from there on. Ambassador, thanks for being here. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to convey our deepest message of respect and best wishes to all the Muslim community in Guyana for the auspicious observances that are already being about to be observed and celebrated here in Guyana and actually all around the world. I also would like to express our deepest solidarity and friendship with the people of Guyana in the occasion of the 60th anniversary of the independence of Guyana. I would like to thank very much.
Thanks so much.
Yes, all of the Imam and Halim and yourself, of course, for this opportunity and to convey once again a message of peace and love to the people of Guyana. Cuba, we at this point are in a very difficult situation. We have been subject to a very long-standing blockade that has lasted for more than 60 years, and in addition to that, we've seen, beginning in the year 2019, the imposition of more than 243 coercive economic measures against Cuba, including during COVID, which, for example, made it impossible for us even to acquire oxygen at that time, and we had to do emergency actions in order to be able to obtain oxygen at that time. But I'm talking about this because it symbolizes the situation in which we are. We have seen recently, as of recent, a very strong strengthening of these coercive economic measures against Cuba. I have to mention these actions taken on January the 29th, which made it impossible for Cuba to obtain fuel. We have been 5 months already, almost 5 months, without almost any fuel, only one shipment coming into Cuba because of punishment being placed upon countries, companies, and individuals that are willing to sell this to Cuba. So this has created a very difficult situation in Cuba, meaning that we have, for example, our infant mortality rate now has doubled. We have 100,000 Cubans now waiting for surgeries, including more than 12,000 children. We have a very difficult situation with persons that have cancer. We have a very difficult situation with women that are expecting, and all of this has created a difficult situation in Cuba. Of course, in addition to this, we are seeing these military threats being placed against Cuba, and as we speak, I have to say, our Minister for Foreign Affairs right now is at the United Nations Security Council, explaining and making the case regarding the need for the world to oppose the situation, because Cuba is not a threat to any country. As it has been said here today, we are a peaceful country. We pose no threat to any other country, and our history is a history of friendship, cooperation, and support to humanity. So, taking that into account, we would like to express our deepest appreciation to the people of Guyana for the solidarity that has been shown, and of course also to the organizers of this effort to send aid to Cuba. There are different countries that are sending different types of aid to Cuba, but the most important thing is that we need to be united, we need to be in solidarity, we need to work together to overcome this situation of threats and blockade against Cuba. This is very important for the people of Cuba. It's actually an existential matter right now for our people, and we are working very hard. We are working very hard in Cuba now to overcome this situation. We are looking, for example, for more oil in Cuba. We are trying to produce more oil in Cuba. We are trying to expand as fast as we can solar generation in Cuba. We are now approaching between 15 and 20% solar, but all in all, including the oil that we produce in Cuba, it covers 40–50% of what our needs are. It means that still there are needs that we need to find how to get supplies of fuel. And of course, we have said that in Cuba, we are not going to renounce to our right to engage with other countries and other companies in order to obtain this fuel. But currently we are under this very difficult situation, and actually we believe that different pretexts have been fabricated against Cuba to justify this maximum pressure being placed against the people of Cuba. So again, we thank the people of Guyana for the solidarity and the support. I have to say that in addition to what we are doing in Cuba when it comes to finding energy resources, meaning oil and solar, etc., our people has shown very high determination to defend our homeland. Recently, 6,200,000 plus and more Cubans signed a commitment to defend our homeland against all this barbarism, against all this aggression against our country. And we have seen 5 million Cubans come to the streets, in Havana 500,000, in order to show the strength of the people in the face of this blockade and in the face of these military threats. So the people have shown extraordinary resilience in order to overcome the situation. But of course, again, we truly appreciate, we deeply appreciate the solidarity and the support from all over the world, including the people of Guyana. Thank you very much in the name of the people of Cuba to the people of Guyana. Thank you.
Thanks, Ambassador. Halim and Mansour, I wonder if we could change up the format of this program that you've been on several times. And if the two of you could interact with the ambassador, asking him the dimensions, to explain the dimensions of what's going on, rather than me asking you questions.
That's a good idea, but before I do that, let me just please greet our viewers. Assalamu alaikum, Eid Mubarak. Thank you very much for joining this program. I'm extremely honored to be on this panel, a very auspicious panel to discuss the Cuba problem. I just want to say that being an Cuban, I understand what it is to feel threatened by another power. And also being a Guyanese, I know what it is to go without a lot of commodities. So our hearts are with you, Ambassador. We understand what it is to be without a lot of the necessities of life. In Guyana here, when fuel prices only go up slightly, we all cry and make a big noise. I can imagine when you can't get any in Cuba, what it is. So definitely, that is so. My brother Ali.
So, I'd like to say good day to all the viewers out there. And first of all, Mr. Kissoon, I don't like to use that word, Mr. Freddie or so on. But I think that in any area where it deserves a doctorate and you call him doctor, I think today we can say Mr.
We can be past that.
No, I would like to say this. I like to say Mr. Kissoon.
This program is for the ambassador. This program is in dedication to the people of Cuba.
So, you know, often he calls, so an interest, not for himself, but interest for other persons. And today, that is an introduction of what is for the ambassador in Cuba, for Cuba itself, and we have the representative for Cuba here with us. Since the triumphance of the revolution in Cuba in 1959, Guyana is one of the countries who actually shared diplomatic relation with Cuba since then. And as such, until today, Guyana stands with Cuba in a hard time and also in a good time. And at this point of time where Cuba presently now in that situation, Guyana stands more in solidarity with you. So we know for a fact that the economy, the embargo, the unjust embargo, which you put on Cuba and listed as a terrorist state, we from the Caribbean and the whole world, and that could tell you from the UN resolution when they voted, they may have one or two abstain, and they may have the United States veto that resolution. and Israel vote against. So out of that amount, let's use a figure like 187, you would have like 184 votes from around the world who voted for Cuba to lift that unjust embargo on Cuba. So this tells you that the unjust embargo which they have then, if you to look back in these years, Cuba, if they want to list it as a terrorist state, did not have the best of missile. What they have produced with very little are non-resource. What they have and utilize what Cuba has, what they produce and so on in their land. I know the imports, what they have to import for medicine and other things, it will be harm them much more than what they have very little to produce what they have. Here in Guyana is one time we know certain things were banned from Guyana. But in this case, for food stuff to reach into Cuba, you have to get foreign exchange. And when you have an unjust embargo on Cuba, that tells you. So they don't have the best of missile, they don't have the best of F-16 or whatever the case may be. What they have produced is the army of coats. The army of white coats. That's what they produce. And we all know that that's doctors, nurses, and so on. For a country which you say you have an embargo, and the economic embargo on those people, and they produce thousands of doctors and nurses and engineers, and they send them around the world. You who call yourself the first world country, not the third world, you're imposing on them hardship. And then you're saying that this Cuba get to the country, the Cuban government have the country at that stage. There is
so let me ask you,
there is
What
no country.
happened?
Just one, so then we can follow. There is none country in the world who has an embargo like that produce so many individuals in nurses, doctors, engineers, and so on. No country in the world has done that besides Cuba.
Yeah, that is Cuba's contribution, I think, to the world.
Around the world.
The whole of Latin America, they have sent doctors, not to talk about Cuba. You know, you go to this country, in this country 20 years ago, 15 years ago, you talk about a urologist, you see a heart specialist, and you ask where he was trained. He was trained in Cuba. Mansour,
I just wanted to say that this project here that we're on it's basically it started out by being a container of love, and we are on our third container. We desperately need some more stocks to fill it up. So I wanted the ambassador to pitch in and tell us that, because what we have in mind is things like food stuff, black beans, rice, canned stuff. Ambassador, are those things going to be helpful to be sent right now?
Well, already I believe the announcement mentions a list of items that are going to be very supportive, especially to those that are the most vulnerable in Cuba, the elderly, the children, the women. I believe how it is covered at this point is very comprehensive, and it points out the main humanitarian needs, like food and medical items, etc. So again, we would like to express our deepest appreciation to all the organizers of this aid, and to especially, of course, to the people of Guyana. I'm sure it's going to be very beneficial to so many persons that are under this situation in Cuba now, that are, again, the most vulnerable. Every effort that we are making under the circumstances are first and foremost to support and to aid and to help, meaning in Cuba, those that are more vulnerable. We are doing installation of solar in the places where children are kept, that have been taken care of, hospitals, the elderly, these social centers where we support the most vulnerable of our population. So even in the current circumstances, we are trying to make sure that this is our priority in Cuba. And of course, we've, as you know, we have received aid, for example, from Mexico, Russia, and other countries in the region. Even the president of Colombia issued a Twitter yesterday. I was looking at Twitter saying that, you know, we should support Cuba, etc. So we are receiving a lot of solidarity and support from so many different countries in the world. And yes, this is going to assist and support those who are more in need in these circumstances. I would like to go back to what Alim was saying, and of course yourself, with regards to the nature of what has been our social project and our social effort. I am trying to say here that it's also important to continue to strengthen and to support these efforts of mutual development between Guyana and Cuba. Even though Cuba is under these very difficult circumstances, it is important to continue to support the relations between Guyana and Cuba. Of course, first of all, between the peoples, our peoples, a long-standing, very historical relations. You mentioned that already. So it means that there are many capabilities in our countries, in our people, even though we might not have all the resources, all the capabilities, but there is so much we can do to support and to assist each other in so many different areas. I could point out biotech growth that can fight very difficult diseases. I've made details of that recently. Cancer, diabetes. I could mention vaccines. I could mention different medical efforts, and it means that even though we are in a trajectory towards development, there is so much we as developing countries can do to support each other and to assist. So any opportunities to identify for the benefit of our peoples is also very important in these circumstances. We in Cuba, we will never renounce to our right to develop our country, and of course, we will never renounce also to our right to continue to assist and to support other countries, because as we speak, there are dozens of countries with scholarships in Cuba. That has not ceased or stopped or closed under the circumstances, right? So it means that we will not renounce to our efforts towards the unity of the region, towards the integration of the region. We should work united as a region to overcome challenges. Each and every country has different challenges. We have the challenges we are referring to right now. And in this regard, I believe that all the efforts of those that are in solidarity with Cuba here in Guyana to support relations between Guyana and Cuba are very important, because this has a direct impact, repercussion, which is a beneficial one for the well-being and the future of our people.
Ambassador, just let's divert a little bit so we can tell our viewers all over the world a little bit about you. Jorge Francisco Luis. You are the only person I know that has a last name that in Spanish is a first name, Luis. Luis is always a first name, but in this case it's a last name. Ambassador Luis, what did you do in Cuba? What were your days in Cuba studying? What is your area of study? I know you've been in Guyana 3.5 years. What did you do in Cuba to have reached this stage where are you an accountant, a biologist, an economist?
Well, I am a humble servant of the people of Cuba, first of all. So I am also the result of a system, social system in Cuba that has allowed all of us to study and to prepare without obstacles, right? So yes, I had the opportunity of studying law and international relations. But I would like to say that the most important thing is our duty to represent our people. So we fulfill our mandate, we fulfill our personal realization, performing for the benefit of our people. In this regard, I would like to say, like myself, there are so many hundreds and thousands of Cubans all around the world, giving the best in favor of humanity. And you have mentioned, well, I'm in the position of ambassador, but I like to say to our medical personnel here that they have been the most and the best important ambassadors of Cuba in Guyana and all over the world, bringing life, well-being, and support so many people in the most intricate places, in the jungle, in different regions. The same happens now in so many different dozens of countries. So I consider myself a humble representative of the people of Cuba, which is a people, and of course I'm proud of efforts being made by all our missions, not only diplomatic, but also the medical missions and other missions all around the world, to give the best of Cuba, the best that Cuba can offer to other peoples. But we also believe that we are better off, all of us, meaning the people, for example, in this case of our region, again, when we work together toward finding solutions or responses to the challenges that we have, which are in different fields, not only in the political field, social field, medical field. And this is in this regard, the main message that I would like to send. The importance of support and continue identifying opportunities so that we can make the most of the capabilities. Here in Guyana, you have now a trajectory, fast-paced, many things that are taking place, which creates more opportunities. So we will continue to support these programs. For example, in the case of scholarships and other kind of programs, so we can enhance and strengthen this people-to-people relationship. So I've been working in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Cuba for a number of years now. I was posted to Saint Lucia before being ambassador here. I was ambassador of Cuba to Saint Lucia. So I had the opportunity to learn a lot about the Caribbean. We are part of the Caribbean. It's not that we believe that this is a region that is foreign to us, but it's been very, very important to understand all the potential that there is in our region and the resilience of the peoples of the Caribbean, the cultural strength, the knowledge, the historical acumen.
Yes.
It is very important because, as we all know, Cuba places a special position for Latin America and the Caribbean in our foreign policy. We believe in an integrated, united region. Unity is very important, both domestically but also regionally, and of course we're talking about the needs for peace and the needs for development. I was listening at the presentations made at the United Nations Security Council this morning, and the members of the United Nations Security Council made the case for the relationship between development and peace, right? So all these are very important factors we believe to take into consideration. And here we are saying that it is important to support both, and of course among each other. We are talking about now these threats being made against Cuba. So any region affects the region, not only the particular country. And CARICOM sits, headquarters, the secretariat is here in Guyana, for example. We have been able to develop so many important relationships. Countries members of CARICOM, including Guyana, of course. So this is how we see and how I see personally the role as the ambassador of Cuba here in.
Can I interrupt to talk some more about the Continuum project? This project was, the project coordinator is Mariam Pereira. Our number is 648-1660 for those who might want to.
You want to repeat that?
748-1660. Mariam Pereira. And she sent me a note here that we need non-perishable food items, baby formula, diapers, over-the-counter medications, personal hygiene item, and especially solar panels, small kits or large, and solar-powered torchlight, batteries, solar-powered portable generators. I like the idea that the ambassador said that what affects one person in the region affects everybody. And where the Guyana Ahmadiyya Anjuman is concerned, we're talking about people punishing. Under no circumstances should people be punished and starved because you don't agree with their ideology. I'm not talking about the politics here. I'm not talking about the war here. I'm talking about food. Why stop food aid from going into places like Cuba and other places that don't agree with you? Why stop fuel from going? I mean, you want to fight the army, we don't have a problem with that. You could fight that out. That's you and their problem. But I'm concerned and where I'm involved when Brother Asif called me and asked me, can we use this as a drop-off point for food items and other items? And I said, definitely. Because wherever somebody is in need, and this is also taught by our religion, we are today celebrating the sacrifice of Abraham, not of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abraham, who is respected by all three of the major religions. You know, the Jewish, the Christians, and the Muslims. I'm not talking about the Hindus because I don't know what is their connection to it, even though Maulana Abdul Haq Vidyarthi would have presented a very strong case to say that Abraham was also Lord Brahma. But what I'm saying here is that this is a sacrifice where we distribute meat, where we give people things to eat. Why we can't give our neighbors, Cuba, and in this case, one of the countries that has helped us tremendously, but Ali was about to talk about the doctors, how many years ago? 25 years ago. So for 25 years, I mean, they have been giving us medical assistance. I appeal to all our Guyanese brothers and sisters to get involved with this project. We have several places that are drop-off points. The list is Barnes Memorial Presbyterian Church in Queenstown, Mount Zion Baptist Church in Campbellville, the Catholic Cathedral Presbytery in Brickdam, ISKCON Hare Krishna Study Center in UG Road, Eccles Sunnatil Masjid, and of course the Brickdam Mosque right here next to the NIS building. Freddie, I want to thank you for giving us this time and allowing us to talk about what's happening in Cuba, because a lot of people don't know.
This country,
yes,
this country and its people owe that country, Cuba, tremendous debt.
Yes, yes,
20
yes.
years ago, you go into the Joshua Hospital. It was staffed by Guyanese and Cubans trained in Cuba.
In Cuba, yeah.
No matter what is your ideological persuasion, no matter how you see things in the world from different perspectives, you cannot deny Cuba's contribution to the Caribbean. And we begin from there, that contribution needs to be recognized and repaid.
Yeah, we can never repay. Sorry.
Some Ambassador is saying that you study law, so we now got to build a case, why should we help you? And that very first one I will talk about is the then president, Dr. Bart Jack Leo. Can you remember the first batch of how many hundreds of students left there to go to study? If you can remember a chance.
Our medical...
No, for the first batch, the huge batch which you had, is hundreds. right? There's a first batch who went to go and study, and they came back and influx Guyana with that amount of doctors. So all our hospitals and so on, clinics which was understaffed. Actually, that is how we get Guyana to move forward with our health care. With those students, and we know that Cuba would have given free scholarship to although Guyana is a bit better off than Cuba. We're not looking at it that way, but we're looking at humanitarian. So we should help them because of that mere thing where they come and they save lives with the medical brigade and so on. So in Cuba, I sometimes stay there for 2 months. That's not recently, more time advance, 2-3 months. And I could say that I'm more Cuban than the Cubans. The reason why I'm saying that is that if we go on a truck and the rain started to fall as transportation, and the guys then take off the short and put it in a plastic bag, I do that to myself. Take off my short and put it in a proof, show that brotherhood with them and that solidarity with them. On Saturdays, if we go to the province like Granma and so on, those persons have to walk Saturday because of the transportation and the embargo which has been put on them, the economic embargo. They walk like 12 kilometers. And I normally walk every Saturday with them and say, listen, I can afford a car, to hire a car to go from one point to the next. But I choose to walk with you guys this 12 kilometers.
You guys, I hope I don't put my foot in my mouth, but you have had condensed milk over the decades, right?
Yes.
When I was working in Cuba, I made friends with the Cuban construction workers that were building the Grenada Airport. And they had a condensed milk. That thing is the best condensed milk you can ever, no matter how much big corporation like Nestle's. Do they still have that condensed milk in Cuba?
I believe so.
They do.
I believe I understand what you're talking about. They process it.
Yeah, it's a unique condensed milk, man. Is it exported Cuba to the world?
I don't believe so. I believe it's domestic.
You need to bring some more condensed milk in, guys.
Could you get the tin in that condensed milk for me? Yeah, continue, Ambassador.
Yes.
Very well.
So one of the other things we could concerning the embargo and so on in those provinces, which have huge agriculture and the milk, and they have dairy centers, whereas the government is in charge of those, and they take those milk and give free to the newborn babies, to the mother of the newborn babies, throughout Cuba.
Well,
So-
you asked the ambassador why we should.
Yes.
He should explain, seeing that he was trained in law, why the world should help Cuba. It's common.
No, that's not legal. That's a humanitarian.
But it's a commonsensical answer.
Yes.
It's a commonsensical answer. Yes,
But
ambassador.
we in Cuba, we believe that we have a duty with humanity. We believe this because we were formed as a nation as part of the contributions of other peoples, including, for example, African peoples and other peoples. So they made huge contributions to our country, and we have become what we are also because of all the solidarity and support we've received all over the years, for so many years, from so many different countries, in so many different fields. So we believe in Cuba that we should respond with our humanity, with our solidarity to the needs of our people. You were mentioning, for example, our contribution to Africa, of course, to Caribbean, Latin America, and other peoples. As we speak, we have medical missions in 50 countries with 25,000 personnel making these contributions in different countries. So we see it as part of our duty with humanity, and we are convinced. And this is actually something that we always make the case for in each and every international document we sign, international statements, etc., that the relations between the peoples of humanity should be based on cooperation and solidarity, and of course, peace. it is impossible, in our view, to find an answer to current challenges the world is facing just based on competition. We need to help each other, we need to cooperate, we need to be in solidarity, because different countries have different situations, different challenges. And this is something that, if I would say, that has been an important contribution of Cuba, which cannot be measured numerically. Of course, we have all these statistics and everything, but the fact that we have made the case, and the people of Cuba has set the example of being solidarity with other peoples under the most difficult circumstances. Like if there is an earthquake in a particular country, if there is Ebola in Africa, if there is the most, even here, during COVID, we believe it's a duty that we have with humanity to assist and to support, even if it is at the risk of our own lives, because of course, when you have medical personnel in these most difficult situations, in Africa, an earthquake, etc., of course, there's also a risk for life that is involved.
Yes.
But our concept, our view of the world is also based on the concept of solidarity and mutual support. Nothing can replace that. We cannot calculate or measure the response to a humanitarian need, because it has a human dimension that cannot be measured in numbers or in amounts of money, etc. Of course, there is the economic of things, and there are many things that are objectives that we need to take into account. But and you know this, I know different organizations of solidarity with Cuba in different countries, Humanistic Solidarity Association. So the concept of solidarity and humanity in everything that we do internationally, this is very important, and this is how we view the fact that at different points, very important points in our history, we have received again support and help from so many different countries. It is how we view that relations among nations should be in the current circumstances. It cannot be a matter of competition or a matter of one country dominating the other or imposing its will on the other country. It has to be a matter of
because of Cuban Ambassador, sorry to
cordial
No, we have time.
and relationships.
Yeah, we have time.
you have some time?
among people, Salim,
Let them answer.
on the basis, on the foundation of solidarity and mutual support.
Yeah. So why we show you that why Guyanese, because we're doing collection presently now in Guyana, and why Guyanese should show that solidarity, that do that contribution, and show that gratitude towards Cuba at this point where they needed us most. And Brother Mansour would give you that figure in terms of the very first batch, which we have here, a large batch on the
the first batch was 500 students, and the second batch was 965 students who got scholarship. And just did a quick search.
Yes, well, you know, that is
300 fully trained doctors and engineers will return a single
Mansour.
time. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, no, go on.
So
This is your program.
Yes. Yeah. We just wanted to give that figures to show the impact on that.
This
yes,
is the
why we should show that gratitude.
This is the program of friendship and solidarity between the peoples of Cuba and Guyana. But I remember, for example, more than 1,200 Guyanese that have been trained in Cuba, for example. That over the years, there have been different moments in which. But I can say that the scholarship programs continues every year. You remember, every year we have a group of Guyanese that go to study Cuba. I should recognize that they obtain excellent results because the receiving condition of, you have students, Guyanese students at our medical school in Cuba, they are obtaining very good results.
There's something I want to tell you that you don't know. The most sought after, the most patronized veterinary surgeon in Guyana is trained in Cuba.
And the neurosurgeons, all of them, train the Guyanese, they train in Cuba.
The
neurosurgeons, yes.
You want to carry your pet to a veterinary doctor? That guy was trained in Cuba, it's in Pashadnagar.
And also some of the things you have to look at the hardship, why we ask him for this donation too. And I can be a testimony to that. Some of the areas to get water, you actually have to set down a bucket 300 feet down and pull up one bucket of water because the pumping system and they don't
electricity.
Yes, and the electricity. So this year, actually to get one bucket of water, I can bear testimony, I actually do it by myself. Pull up one bucket of water to full a tank. So it takes you a very long time, 300 feet for that bucket of water, to go down and pull up from a well because of the embargo which they put down.
So Ambassador, how do you see things unfolding? I mean, there's no question the world isn't going to turn its back on Cuba. I mean, it's one of the most known countries in the world. I mean, you go to some countries like Pakistan, Afghanistan, and you ask them if they know about, Belgium, or if they know about Holland. They may not know, but you tell them Cuba, they know. It's perhaps one of the most known countries in the world. I'm sure the world will not turn its back.
Where is the support of the world to Cuba?
They voted at the time when they have that power. They voted.
What else are they doing?
Either some country, I was looking at it on the threat from some other big nation, let's use the medical brigade for now. Right? We can use that, the medical brigade, which they are threatening. Guyana is one of the countries that's threatened. Yes. Can you?
I understand that you would like to see more support. I can tell you, I can actually send you all the expressions of solidarity and support from dozens of countries, like every day. So maybe because there is many of the media, internationally speaking, that not usually covers solidarity with Cuba on their paper, right? On their space, digital space. But we do receive very important, continuously very important expressions of support. At the United Nations every year now, it's 30 years now. We have received a very solid vote, you mentioned, of the international community, which has a very important moral impact on denouncing this policy of blockade. But we are receiving aid support from different countries in different ways. For example, China making important donations, Russia, Mexico, Colombia, Brazil. So many different countries. And then we receive, again, many expressions of support, many friends from all over the world organizing and sending via their organizations, sending support to people. But it is true that many times this is not published yet, so we don't know. But you ask a question regarding what is going to happen. Well,
before you touch that question, let me just butt in, please. Let me just butt in to remind our viewers that we're still seeking your support. So please contact Mariam Pereira, the coordinator for this project. Our telephone number, I'll give you to put up on screen. And we can, the locations Breakdown is one of the places. And make it in your hearts, today is Eid, that you will give in charity.
And this
It's next to an ice. It's not very hard to
Everybody,
find.
that Malian Mosque is next to one of the most iconic buildings in the Republic of Guyana,
Right.
the National Insurance Scheme.
And also we have Brickdam Cathedral, which is well known.
That's another iconic building. So,
you can't miss it.
Ambassador, we
Please
have
put something. No.
3 minutes more
Yes,
to
so
go.
let's hear where we're going to go from
Please
here.
adjust.
Yes.
Well, I would like to reiterate our message of friendship, peace and love to the dear people of Guyana. And I would like to assure all of the people of Guyana that Cuba will overcome these difficulties. Our people will resist with the support and the solidarity of so many dozens of countries in the world. And with the determination, with the will of the people of Cuba, we are going to overcome this difficulty. We are sure that at some point there will be no blockade against Cuba because this is the will of the international community. And very important, we are determined to defend our nation's sovereignty, independence, and self-determination. The will of the Cuban people is unshakable. And it is not only that we are determined, we are guided also by our history. We have a history of resilience, heroism, and we have achieved so much, and we will continue to achieve. And we will not only work for the well-being, for the benefit, and for the progress of Cuba. We will always be a force for good, for the good, for peace, for development in our region and beyond. And again, I want to reassure the people of Guyana that Cuba will always stand with the people of Guyana, with Guyana, and that we will always be willing and ready to work together with Guyana in order to move forward and overcome the challenges we have individually as countries, but also regionally.
Ambassador Oge Francisco Luis, it was indeed an intellectual and emotional pleasure having you here to address the Guyanese people on the Frederick Kissoon Show. I hope this is the first occasion. I hope this is not the last occasion you will grace our cameras and speak about the great Republic of Cuba. Gracias.
One of the things before he leaves there, we should recognize also the man, Comandante Fidel Castro, who will bring Cuba. He's a great leader, hero of this country.
Our operator signal thanks. Thanks for being with us. This program is about the aid relief program that a number of Guyanese organizations have come together to facilitate aid to Cuba. Our guest this evening was Imam of the Ahmadiyya Mosque, Imam Bash, and Imam from Metamazar, but the essential guest was Jorge Francisco Luis, Honorable Ambassador from the Republic of Cuba to Guyana. We hope you appreciate what he had to say, and you will have learned from what he had to say about international relations, Cuba, role in the world. Thanks for being with us. Bye-bye.